It's good morning, Jack and Harry. Thanks for joining us here at Yellow Shelf.
Thanks very much for having us.
Good morning, Joe. Great to chat.
Hey, congratulations. Your podcast, genre fiction podcast, has been on my radar. I'm super excited to talk to you both because I know you have this really interesting backstory. But I'm going to maybe I'll start with you, Jack. Tell us, what do we need to know about your podcast?
Well, really quickly, the Genre Fiction podcast, it was born myself and Harry Colfer and another Brisbane author, Bryn Smith. Three of us got together and we were chatting around ways that we could help ourselves market and network with the writing community. And we came up with this harebrained idea, this is nearly 2 years ago,
Yeah.
of doing a podcast. So probably the first 20, 25 episodes were just the three of us campfire chat, sitting around chewing the fat
Talking
around
rubbish.
different. We'd pick a topic and we'd just go. We'd ad lib, we'd wing it, we'd flash it out, talking about different writing topics. Myself coming from a police background, Harry coming from a paramedic background, and Bryn coming from a military background. We would talk about things within our sort of disciplines and how that fits into creative writing. Sadly, Bryn isn't with us anymore. He hasn't passed away. He's just moved to Perth.
That's
So
about as good as passing away. So, it's a long way off.
So Harry and I decided to continue, and what we changed the format where we now interview guests who are authors or writing and publishing industry experts, and we get them on the show and we interview them.
Yeah. Well, Harry, do you have anything to add to that?
The main point of interest or point of difference with respect to us is that we t tend not to, or we allow an author to sort of like obviously spruik their book if they have a one coming out, but that's not the focus of having them on the podcast. The main thing is what what sort of information they can give to aspiring authors and interest to readers about the writing process and how they got there and how, and the trials and tribulations of being an author and getting sort of snippets of gems of information out of them that might help somebody in the future who wants to produce a book.
Yeah, and to your credit, gentlemen, you are sitting at more than 100 episodes, I think. This is a weekly
190,
podcast.
no, no, 96, I think we're at the
Okay,
moment.
so it's nearly, okay, nearly,
Nearly.
nearly, sorry. No pressure. But yeah, this is a weekly podcast. So you guys obviously put a lot into it. It's I guess it's a passion as much as, yeah, you being able to bring aspiring authors and guests as well on your podcast. So I know Jackie probably alluded to it. So I'm going to start with Harry this time. What inspired you to create the podcast? Tell us about these interesting backgrounds that I already know you both have. Tell us what we need to know about you, Harry.
Well, I mean, I could sugarcoat it and say that we wanted to give back to the writing community. We wanted to sort of impart our knowledge and stuff like that. Reality was, it was a marketing tool. It's a way of trying to. I mean, I'm an indie author, so I self-publish my books. Jack's is traditional, and but either way, you've got to get your face out there. You've got to push your books to be able to sell books, and this was an idea that we could get ourselves out there and sort of at least give back to a certain extent, but also, make ourselves or raise our profile so that we could get our names out. My background is that I'm still a critical care paramedic working in Brisbane, but I'm on a sabbatical at the moment. It started this year, and I'm finding myself and seeing whether I can make a different go of it and on a boat somewhere.
Nice.
And do some bit more writing that way. But yeah, I've written four novels so far,
Yeah,
all about a paramedic working in Brisbane. So I've got a bit of the reality sort of aspect of it, but it's all very tongue-in-cheek, dark, amber humor, murder mysteries, thrillers, adventure, action adventure, and stuff like that. And I've also done 32 a collection of 32 short stories, which I refer to as paramedic procedurals, whereby you just get a sort of fly in the cab of what happens in an ambulance, and they're far more real than the reality TV shows
yeah.
because I can say what I want and what people say, rather than what they say when they're being filmed and what they're allowed to say when they're being filmed. But
Yeah.
anyway, there you go. That's a bit
Great.
about me and a bit about why we started it.
Awesome. And Jack, over to you. What can you tell us about, anything further to the question about being inspired to start the podcast and also, yeah, just a bit about you.
Yeah, and just following on from what Harry talked about, even though our initial idea was to come together, use the again, we didn't know what we were doing. We were bumbling our way through it. We've been going now for nearly 2 years, and the idea was to put ourselves out there, and by the three of us chatting, but it has organically evolved into something a lot more than that now, and people are starting to notice what we're doing. And the beauty of us now, it's not just us chatting anymore. We kind of exhausted our expertise and sort of ran out of things to talk about. So by getting industry experts in, we've changed it around where we're asking questions and they're imparting their knowledge. So the readers who are listening are learning. We're actually giving them some quality information. So it's not just about, tell us about your
Yeah.
book and spruiking books.
Yeah.
So we do feel that, it has grown to the point that we're getting some really quality expert guests from writing, publishing, screenwriters from USA, UK, all over Australia. So we've had some really top-notch guests. So that's and it's starting to become a real product. We did it in order to help us promote ourselves as authors, but
Yeah.
now our podcast has become another product as well.
Yeah.
It's become a product on top of our books, and it's become a great opportunity for us to network. For me, my personal background was I was a police officer for 33 years. I was a detective for about 14 years, and worked in other roles. Started writing crime fiction. I left the police 2 years ago. I had to make a decision. I either stay with the police or pursue my writing career, and I'd been picked up for a publishing deal, and I just felt I had an opportunity. So I actually took a leap of faith, left the police, and now writing full time. I've got a 3-book detective series out, plus a fourth standalone, which is a historical mystery with a twist of time travel. So I'm dabbling in a different genre. I've got another crime manuscript that is complete, ready to go soon. And I'm also started a brand new project. So dabbling in a few different things. But yeah, so it all started off as we're writers promoting our books, but now the podcast has taken on a life of its own.
It's so fascinating, isn't it? Because yeah, podcasting does that, doesn't it? It kind of evolves and you lean into it and go with it. But also what I wanted to comment was, I speak to loads of authors as well. So I know that loads of authors obviously love writing and love presenting work, but they don't necessarily like this marketing side. So I think what your podcast really does is bring an indie background, a publishing background, and just yeah, gives you guys a comfortable space to share your show. So with an
Yeah, I
audience
think
who sometimes feel really uncomfortable about this.
I have to say that Jack's the more eloquent one who actually organizes things and does stuff like that. I just turn up and
Talk.
pardon the phrase, shoot the shit, and
Yeah.
just talk and sort of throw a few random questions in. So yeah, from those two answers that you got just prior, you probably got gathered that anyway.
No, I think we tell it how it is, who we are and what we do, but I think that complements your podcast hosting. And it's obviously
Hopefully,
what the
yeah.
audience like. Guys, curious about how we connect with you, how we connect with the podcast, even how we connect with your books. So I'll put all this in the show notes to make it easy for people who are curious. Who wants to go first? Harry, you go first with this one.
Well, basically, we're on all of these sort of podcast channels. So Podbean is where we drop the podcast, the audio podcasts, and then that sort of farms out to all of the different ones, Apple, Spotify, etc., etc. We've also got, or Jack's working on a YouTube channel where, because we do all our interviews via Zoom, because it
Yeah.
just makes things. Initially, we actually did it in either Jack's wife's hairdressing salon when there was nobody there. That was where we started, and then it was
Love
my
it.
place, and but then we had to organize where we were going to be, and and getting 3 people in, and it was too much hassle, and so yeah, because we do it on Zoom, and although it's recorded for the podcast, Jack's been working on producing the videos as well, so they're complementary to the whole process. So it's on YouTube as the Genre Fiction Podcast. And what else? We've got an email with I can't even remember what it's something like Genre Fiction Podcast. Genre Fiction. Can you help
I'll
me?
get it. I'll
.com.au,
put it
I'm
in,
guessing.
Dot
boys.
com it. I bloody don't know. Obviously, for me, contacting me and having a look at my books, it's
Yeah.
harrycolfer.com.
Okay.
And I'll let Jack take over for his.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just Google Jack Roney, jackroney.com.au, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook. And look, if you want to check us out on the YouTube channel, please click that subscribe button.
Subscribe.
Subscribers are
Yeah.
absolutely gold for trying to get a YouTube, because getting a YouTube channel up is a really tough gig.
Yeah.
So we would love your support. Check out the just Google Genre Fiction Podcast on YouTube and click that subscribe button, please. That'll be a massive help to us.
I love that call to action, boys, because often, that goes undone, that people should subscribe. I did say to you, both gentlemen, this morning, Yellow Shelf has curious humans who are curious about books and curious about podcast. And what you guys have delivered today is that double whammy of books galore and obviously a podcast. So thank you so much for joining us.
That's a
No, thank you. It's
pleasure.
been an absolute pleasure. Thanks, Joe. It's been good fun.
Cheers, guys.